Yes.
3.
Working now.
Can the community hear me?
Yes.
Here.
Yes. Holy sweet Jesus, yes.
Alright, let's just jump back to where we were.
You just got screen share again, Benji.
Yeah, give me a sec. Not letting me share. 1 second. Not letting me share now. Hold on, I'll rejoin. I don't know why it's not letting me share. Give me a sec.
Jeez, ever since we lost the boosts, like those nitro boosts on the Discord when Tom left, it really impacted this part of Discord. Because part of the features of boosting a server gives you additional benefits to doing casts like this. I'm really going to have to edit this video now. Oh, it's going to be a pain.
Remember when Wynn told me I would start this at 2 a.m. and now it's 3:30? Shucks.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
We sure can.
All right, let's see if share works. Fingers crossed. Hey, there we go.
Go.
Cool. I'll go back to what I was talking about before in terms of land, because there was a few people that apparently couldn't hear us. But essentially what we said before, this is to encourage people to grow now. And we're hoping that we'll see some changes in this space. It'd be nice to see somebody go really crazy with land and not just be one kingdom. But, remains to be seen. We'll see what comes out of these changes for this age. There's some nice little buffs there. So
I think
that's kind
we
of
all expect to see that sort of push to 50,000 acres and then maybe a delay to 80k.
Yeah.
Because the 65k buff's sort of Like, that honor bonus is sort of going to hit you later in the age, because that's when the honor piles up. But, you know, everyone's going to want that science early.
Oh, I suspect everybody, you're all going to go for this straight away. You're all going to go for that because you want it. And then I think we'll see a bit of a slowdown, and then people will start to go for those. We're planning to go to 25.
And so, no more
Um,
provincial land bonuses?
No. So, explore pool cap. That was your feedback that I think Scraz put in, Smiles. So that was, I think, not his. I think he's not here. So, but I think his words were, "It's not a perfect solution, but that was part of his solution to the future for that." And did you have any comments on that one, Smiles, in terms of the motivation behind that? Because I remember you talking about it.
I'm fine with, like, you know, one big change at a time. It's, you know, being big provincially is its own reward. If you're really pushing that sort of cow province, you probably are already motivated.
It was 3 before, it's 2 now, but the cap's been removed. Persian, you were about to say something?
No, I'm good.
You good?
Oh, yeah. That's interesting. See how it goes.
This is a new change that David's put in. You wouldn't have seen this in from revised. It's literally just come in this afternoon. Provinces that defect will be placed into a kingdom with 22 or more provinces available.
That sounds
There you go,
fun.
Death. I got you, man. Got you.
Yeah. So yeah, ultimately we're trying to place new players into kingdoms that are at least hopefully a bit more established. I think is with the goal as what David had in mind with that.
Yeah, we had a player defect from our kingdom just to test it out. He ended up defecting 8 times, and every single time he ended up in like a dumpy farm kingdom with like nobody in it. And, you know, for a new player that just joins, maybe they get into a bad kingdom right away. That's kind of not where you want to put them. You want to put them into a place where they have a chance to learn, join the community, not just feel like it's a single player game in some random farm kingdom.
I like this change. I think it's good. I hadn't even thought about it until David told me.
Yeah, and I mean, I have to give credit to Death on that one from Infinity. After he defected, he actually mentioned it to me, and I brought it up in the Changes Council. David picked it up pretty quick.
I assume this is you don't have wall up, and does that go to 25? Like, if you're 24 provinces, are you just going to get defects in your kingdom?
That's a question, a good question, but that's a question for David. How that's going to work if there's a wall up, David?
I mean, I hope so. Fucking force those 25 mans.
There you go, he's got his hand up. Hold on.
Indeed.
You're going to have to let him in, Wind. I can't do it.
I sent the invite, but he would have to accept.
Yeah, he's asked to accept it. He's already been invited. David!
There we go. He's just said he hasn't really decided yet, but now expect the wall to block it. But
Cool.
I think I agree with Smiles. You should be forced.
But
Just
that'll be an interesting thing that we can go forward.
But I know everybody hates me for saying those things because, yep. Aggressive stance changes, nothing to see here. It's still 36 ticks, but just to clarify, because I don't think if people realize this, but the cooldown is still 48. So you won't be able to just constantly insta-lock it. You will have to somewhat think about when you use it. Building changes, there were some slight adjustments here. The library base percent lifted from, we had it at 2, it's now at 1.5. We felt that was a bit too much.
Yep.
yeah, we had a lot of feedback on that, so we've tailored that back down a bit. And the max effect is still the same. There's been a lot of discussion in council about the science protection. And look, ultimately, where we've landed with David is he doesn't want the protection anymore. So that is coming into place. The only way that you will be able to protect the science is if you were to pick Sage. That's it. So science is free game basically next Sage.
So David's confirming that defect will push Kingdom straight to 25. Also, people want to talk a little bit about how the hostility meter is halved in aggressive. I think the idea behind that is you can, waving someone and just, hitting 9 TMs, waiting for day change, full wave, and then do your second wave. That's sort of meta for some people. With new aggressive, you'll be able to do a full, 19 hits without giving button. Like, assuming
you pretty much landed it perfectly, Smiles.
Once, the average Kingdom can do a full wave without giving button, or you can do 2 waves of hitting TMs before giving button. So I think the intent, you can correct me, but at least the effect will be you can give a lot more buttons that aren't, as risky. You got a bit more leeway there.
Pretty much exactly it. Yeah, that is exactly the intent. And I think we're going to see that hopefully the power of buttons somewhat is not as strong as what it was before. It's not a perfect solution, but that is the intent. Yeah, Smiles absolutely landed it well.
And I think the
only problem is poor thief mages
TMs getting hit. And as much as everyone cries about being 25 provinces, this is a huge benefit to micros being able to hit more without, risking landlusts and stuff. So, there's a lot of play for smaller kingdoms and provinces here.
I know people say poor TMs, and a Persian can say it or Smiles can say it. TMs have some of the strongest bonuses in the games, guys. You can't expect to have the same military values of an attacker and a defense and not have those modifiers.
Yeah, I think what it amounts to is you are going to end up running your thief mages a little bit closer to that 6 or 7 peasants per acre, so you can eat one hit without having to instantly go into Explorer Landlust and just use your size to protect.
Getting 2 max gains trads on you a week and 0 is a lot of recovery. It hurts. I hear you.
So, yep. But that's how the meta shifts, and that's why you might shift to, say, elf instead of fairy, because you only have to train specs instead of leets, or a human that can convert, and while they don't have bonuses, they just run some off specs and then convert back the defense. These are all changes you have to think about in the meta of how much you're going to get hit, or just get a little bit bigger and then you only have 1 or 2 kingdoms feeding on you versus 10.
Smiles is right about that. At least there won't be 30% of the server as orcs.
Mm-hmm.
Attack changes. I'll keep going, guys, and if you see any comments, just let me know. Smiles or Persian. So learn base gains still the same, 25% increase. We're trying to bring back some power into learns. I personally would like it to be higher, but I've lost that battle with David. The Intra raises damage. You've got the numbers now from 20 to 40.
This just to counter all the people that complain that it's hard to get rid of people they don't like.
You nailed it, Smiles. That's exactly what the intent is.
25 provinces and you get those complaints. Sure, yeah. 40% in one hit, you're fucked. If anyone breaks you once, you're not plaguing a kingdom long.
Yep. Correct. And that was why David did that. So we are trying to head into a direction to make it easier, basically, to get rid of the weeds and help you grow.
Which is super helpful if you're getting more defects, and those defects are actually AFK.
I did enjoy it. I can't remember who it was, though. Somebody said it in the Discord. I mean, I would love to have it personally as a monarch, where you could just say, I pick you, you die instantly as a power. But yeah, I don't think we could do that in the game. Can we have the screen zoomed in? I will try, guys. 1 second. What about now? Is that better?
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, is that better? I can do a little bit more. Awesome.
Yeah,
there we go. Let's keep going. So I think a few people had talked about the one soldier raise bounce thing. There it is. Fails raise attacks will increase hostility meter at double the rate of any other attack, up to 2.99 points based on the ratio of offense sent, similar to how others have failed and attacks currently work. David just put that in this afternoon.
I'll have you know, for those, for some reason, listening to my re-upload of this.
Can't hear you, Smiles.
You're not
Unless
supposed
it's me.
to hear me. This is secret, special, YouTube only shit. I just want everyone to know. Let's move on. It's very early in the morning.
No more soldier bounce, yes. Nothing has changed here apart from David has decided aggressive force ceasefire is being completely removed from the game. So you won't have it at all. That was a slight change from revised.
Yeah, rationale there, which I had brought up earlier, is if you actually had aggressive force ceasefire and you were leaving your end of war and you still were hostile with someone that's, say, 110% your size, it is a rush to who can push the button faster. And since now you have to be aware that hostile still stands up and that the meter isn't decaying. It's like, look, if you screw up and you're smaller like that, that was a bad move. If you go to war, you need to know who you left your hostile open with.
All the hits on the server. No one else is.
I'm not sure if Smiles is still doing his quiet talk, but I can see him on the video. Yep. But it would just be like me fucking with Smiles, and he's bigger than me and's got the power, and what did you think is going to happen? He's going to eat me for it. Like, Diplo's going to matter.
Diplo's a myth. The only thing that matters is pew pew.
So you can continue on. You muted though, Benji.
I just did a Smiles. I'll keep going. If there's any 1 points, just let me know. Avian, I think when I looked at it, no changes from what I remember. Yeah, there was no changes on Avian.
From the revised, just to make that
from
clear
the
to everyone
revised.
listening.
Dark Elf did have some changes. I'll call out the changes. David, I'm going to unhighlight this because it's annoying me. I don't know why it didn't let me unhighlight that then. There we go. Anyway, whatever. So you're good with the highlights now.
More on my computer at home because I had to close the cast. So, fortunately, there's a chance that I might not actually have all of this being recorded. So, if anyone's here and really wants to know what's going on, I recommend you stay for the cast. At this time, I can't confirm that my PC at home is actually recording this. But that's all I wanted to say.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Wind. Essentially, what you've got is a higher thief cost from revised, but you've got a 3 warhorse. That is the change to Dark Elf. I'm hoping
played a
everyone was able to
pure
hear me.
Dark Elf this age, I don't know that I paid for Thieves more than once. Just credits was enough to carry me war to war, so for the most part, I think you're going to do fine if you're not eating a lot of massacres. And, you know, a little more offense on something hybridable is always nice. Compared to the other TMs, Dark Elf doesn't really have that defense bonus. So having a little more pew-pew when it comes to hybrid's going to serve them well.
Might see a few Dark Elf Raiders this one. Pew pew. Alright, but that's it for Dark Elf. Unless anyone had any specific questions, I'll keep going. Dwarf, I'm just trying to remember if it changed anything. No, nothing. They're the same.
You know,
Sorry.
Dwarf tends to be that kind of standard, this is where we're setting everything to, and so it seems to be in a good general place.
Or as Smile said to me, if somebody wants to play Dwarf, they'll play Dwarf.
Yeah, you're in a spot where you're seeing a lot of kingdoms fit in dwarves, and no one's complaining that they, quote, have to fit in dwarves. So, you know, it's in a good spot. Essentially, no one's running full dwarf, but the ages you run full dwarf tend to be awkward ages anyways, so it's probably in a good spot.
Elf has changed. The unique has changed, as I had said it would. They have a higher thief penalty than what they had before. They've lost their D-spec at 11 to 10, but they gained greater protection. So I'll just run through it for you, and then any questions you can shoot, guys, in the chat. But essentially, it's a passive now. Whenever your province drops below 30%, all spells you cast under that threshold will gain 25 plus spell damage. The boost disappears as soon as the mana climbs back up above 30. Essentially, that opposite of the rogue.
To confirm, the spell damage is instant only. It's not going to be duration.
Yeah, instant only. Yeah. They've gained greater protection. Like I said, slightly higher penalty on Thieves' Stands, as I felt that Elf was really cooking hard at the moment. So it needed a little bit more of a penalty on it. But apart from that, that's it in terms of Elf. It's pretty much what it was in revised.
Except it lost the +1 to both offense and D-specs. Correct. I've listed here. So it is going to be a little bit weaker military and just really need, really focus on that WPA. You can run a little bit lower raw WPA, but you can still hit the super mage if you want to go a little risky.
It's still very much pew-pew, as I would say. But yeah, it's not as godly as it was in revised.
Yeah, it's pretty gnarly. 40% WP is a lot. But you've got Dark Elf with Mage's Fury is hitting 50% offensively, and you got that sweet ass fairy going on. So I like seeing all the magic pew pew going on.
I could see some KDs probably running very high numbers of elf attackers in next age.
Yeah, I think both elf and halfling, which we'll get to, are in a pretty good hybrid slot, and we've buffed Dark Elf to that effect too, so could be a hybrid age, we'll see.
I just went and looked at the comments. I'm very much enjoying everybody still talking about aggressive force CF. Poor David. Alright, we'll keep going. Fairy. Literally, the only thing that has changed in Fairy, guys, is a gained visibility. That is it.
Invis is a big buff, but I think we're seeing buffs sort of across the board, so I'm with it.
Yeah, it was just to give a little bit of of sugar to ferry across some of the other TMs. That was the intent. Just a little bit.
Why doesn't Fairy have bloodlust? Is it because it's
If I hear
overpowered? Or is it
I'm not going to answer that question.
Said no 2 years ago and we're still living off that problem?
I think we're still living that problem, Smiles. Still living the fairy circle problems. So.
Yeah, Invis and Rev is a pretty big fucking buff to Fairy from last stage, but every TM's getting quite a big buff here, so I think it's all sort of in line.
Yeah, I think so. All right, Halfling. Nothing's changed. So, I mean, I think Smiles said it in his video. Halfling strong. Rogue choice. Probably can hybrid with it. A little bit more challenging than previously.
Yeah, but the
well,
10
with
point
the
D-spec,
it's not going to be more challenging. It'll be easier for sure. But both Hidden and Turtles, who are topping the Whirlwind charts last stage, were running hybrid Halfling Rogues. I think pure Halfling Rogues are looking tasty. Maybe you want to challenge all the WPA-based provinces. We got Dark Elf, Fairy. Maybe it's an Assassinate Wizard Age. You never know.
I reckon we'll see quite a few Halfling Raiders this coming into Age, I reckon.
Yeah, like 26. That's my guess.
I reckon a few people like Raider than what we expect, Miles. We'll see.
Plus 56 TPA will be interesting. Plus an offense. Yeah, I could see it.
Are you gonna be playing some Raiders version?
I
Probably
wasn't
not.
planning on it, but we might see some.
Okay, so the chat is still talking about the hostile meter. Can you scroll back up to how that actually works?
Sure.
So we can clarify.
I can't see what the chat's saying. 1 second.
That's why I'm saying go back up. Okay. So, just to be clear, hostile meter doesn't decay. If I give a hostile and we cease fire, it does reset to 0.
Correct.
If I enter war, then the hostility towards me resets, but my hostility to them remains. The idea then becomes, and this is why it matters for the aggressive ceasefire, is if I go to war with someone, leaving an open hostile, and I lose and I'm significantly smaller, yes, when I come out, that kingdom can take advantage and can declare on me, and will have a button on me.
Correct.
What that means, though, is that when you would give someone hostile, you're either going to want to do negotiations or outgrow them. To that end,
Correct.
They aren't still hostile to me when I leave. So if someone gives me a button and I choose not to take it and go to war with somebody else and win, I don't come out and magically am bigger.
Pretty much explained it as far as David explained
it
it to me.
True. What David just said, that is right. There's not a button, but I'm still leaving the hostile open. So they have to hit me 5 times to get unfriendly and then could declare.
I got 99 buttons, but a bitch ain't
and
one.
Yes, and I understand that is a complaint. The point of the aggressive ceasefire removal was, yes, you are still hostile, but we don't want people to have to mash to see who can push a button first to, get in 5 hits and declare before somebody else can press the aggressive ceasefire. If you hit someone aggressive, they have the rest of the age or until they go to war to deal with you back. That is meant to be there so that you either choose to aggressive someone purposefully, or if you were stupid and you don't deal with the negotiation part of the game, you end up with a loss and you end up regretting that you did not do diplomacy.
Essentially, there's no situation where you can have 5 buttons and then war them all 5 in a row and jump to number 1 like insanely. You only
you
ever
could
get
give
one
5 buttons.
fancy button at a time, and you can give a lot of fancy buttons.
You can
Sucks
give
to
5
suck,
buttons if you want.
but,
You could lose
no
4 in
single
a row,
kingdom is
5
gonna
in a
get
row.
to overindulge, so to speak.
Yes, and you could lose 5 in a row, but I could give 10 kingdoms a button, war 1, lose. Now I'm smaller, and somebody else is bigger than me. They beat the shit out of me, and now I still have open buttons. And this is something that is going to suck if you give willy-nilly buttons to people that you shouldn't fight, or you give a button to someone that you are being super risky on, and then super risky even more and lose. Yes, you could have back-to-back losses because of this, but this is your choice to have gone into someone aggressively.
A lot of people are acting like this is end of the world. Reality is,
I know.
if someone has a button on you, you can negotiate with them. You have end of war ceasefire. You can grow double their size easily. You have end of war ceasefire. You can put everyone up 50% and lean on them, and they don't have an effective button on you anymore. So you can arrange a war with them, or you can arrange a CF with them, or you can come out of war bigger with them, and then they had a button on you.
Outrange them.
Yeah, who cares? Because I'm going to learn wave you again and again and again. So, it's not a big deal. You don't need to go raise killing. You can just talk to people, man. It's really not hard to talk to people.
Look, Smiles is willing to deflow with me.
Yes, and we do understand with getting random people, they can do stuff, but that is also why, all it takes is one raise into someone, and they're going to be attack locked. And it only takes 4 hits to actually kill someone with that raise. So it's not, at worst, somebody is times 4ing someone, and that's still not hostile. Now, if you have multiple people in your kingdom that are griefing, then maybe you need to run a slightly stricter kingdom. And understand that this is still annoying, but the introduction of forced ceasefire was meant to stop griefing originally, and the hostile meter change helps that a little bit, while still reintroducing the need for diplomacy. Not having any diplomacy wasn't exactly healthy for the game.
People just war enough that meters are going to reset. People are like, oh, I'm going to plunder someone once or twice, and then that meter's there for the rest of the age, and I won't be able to plunder them later. It's like, no, they're going to war every week or 2. Even the, lamest kingdoms in the server get 4 wars an age. So, every 2 weeks, all of those meters are resetting. It's just not a big deal.
I can't see the chat, but when you guys tell me they're ready to move, you let me know.
I think we're ready to move. No one else is asking a significant number of questions saying stop. So.
Okay, I'll keep going.
I think Avian's good. We sort of skipped over it, but Avian's great. We do
I think they're
have
gonna be
more expensive elite on Avian than we did in Revised.
Yes, we did. We did raise the elite cost. It was a little bit too cheap, basically.
I still like Avian a lot. I know a few people are like, oh, big nerfs, but I just like Town Watch. I like more offense. I like cheap elites. Birth rate can suck it.
Yeah, and the need to cast quick feet, it means your attack time is still roughly the same, but you do actually have to build guilds. Which is okay, that's a slight hit, but that's not something that should be meaningful. Really, you shouldn't be running 0 guilds in most wars anyway.
I still think Avian's good. Same as Smiles. Move quick, hit hard. Lots of build space. Got Town Watch. I think they're a good race. Dark Elf we spoke about. Dwarf we spoke about. No changes there. Elf we did speak about. And as I said, up to the den.
Go over Elf a bit more.
Okay.
because it's sort of the biggest buff. Last Age Elf was the least picked race, and I think it's looking pretty dang strong right now. So it's a good thing to look
Oh,
at.
100%. I think Elf is going to be definitely highly more used going into next age.
So how is the Elf Thieves' Den going to interact with Rogue?
Look, I would say that is a question from David and Kaji from a coding perspective. Honestly cannot answer that question confidently.
TDs times 1.8 times 0.65?
That's what it should be if it matches previous things.
Yeah,
That would be
Yeah.
the
that's going to be
expected
rough.
correct play.
You're really not going to find max TDs as an Elf Rogue. But, like, you know, if you're just playing Night Strike games, you're going to be okay. But I could feel, like, Elf Rogue with this sort of setup's usually really strong, because you get a shitload of honor because of the WPA and defense. But without those max Thieves' Dens, if you're facing any halfers, you're going to have to run Watchtowers. It's going to be pretty brutal.
Yep, that's a weakness.
But also just being 2 TPA, 30% Watchtower Elf is going to be pretty strong as core or pure. It's going to be... 40% WPA is a fucking thing, guys.
100%. Yeah. Elf is no joke next age. It will go pew pew. So
Okay, we did Fairy a little bit, which again, just calling out Fairy as the only race that has the only Thief Mage bonus race that has the 12-point elite, which is very nice.
and it gains Invis and Revelation. So it's just some pretty big buffs. I can't see if there's any questions, so I'm assuming by silence, nothing.
Yep.
Halfling, no changes. We felt like, as I said in Revise, we nerfed this slightly because this, to be honest with you, was pretty cooking hard already. So yeah.
Halfling's so strong. It's just... Yeah, this is the sort of halfling that can get 3, 4, or 5 WPA and just fit in the defense and feel real strong, but then it turns out that all 3 casting races are just so far ahead of you in WPA anyways. So it's an interesting spot. I think it's looking pretty good at hybrid just based on last age, because, you know, 11% more defense is a lot of defense.
I saw Jackman's comment. I would love to see a 25 halfling KD, Jackman's. All right, we'll keep going.
The human, which was the big change for the age.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are going to go human next age, is what I'm hearing. Anyway, so income's gone down from 25 to 20. Building efficiency is still the same. The passive lost the population boost, and 3 ticks. War only. Going forward.
So the whole bonus is war only, or the cap is war only?
The whole bonus is war only. I think is what David wanted, from what I understand. If David is still here, or has he disappeared? He's still here. Is that right, David? Have I got that right? Yes, war only. There we go. Confirmed by the king himself.
So just for how I do things, move the war only to in parentheses after the word strategic reserves.
Wait, we don't get books out of war for hitting shit?
Well, you do, just not from this.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, that is a significant hit to the amount of science that that they're going to get.
It's really not that strong out of war if allowed, because almost all stages of the age learns are getting you more books than those trads would be, and it has to be trads in range, so you're forced growth constantly. I wouldn't consider it particularly strong, but that just means I'll learn people with my humans instead of tradding them, I guess, and I'll stay in range longer. Works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't mind. I'm easy, but you're the boss, David.
I don't know. I think people are overvaluing humans, because you look at a 12-12 army, and then you look at Elf, that's basically a 13-11 army with, instead of a 20% income buff, you have 40% WPA buff. Like, I don't know if you've looked at any SOSs recently. People put a lot more books into channeling than they do income science.
Yeah, well, and the channeling always is beneficial offense and defense. If you dump everything in income, as soon as you get fireballed, your income's gone.
To me, personally, I'm happy to keep it as not war only. I don't think it's a big deal. I'm
We'll
the
see
same
how
as
it plays out.
yeah. I'm the same as Mars. I mean, I'll be learning anyway. So, but yeah, David's made the call. So unless he changes his mind.
I kind of feel like humans just really sort of pushed into Sage. Just, like, I don't really feel that army's doing anything too fancy. I don't know, otherwise.
I don't know, the Righteous Aggressor spell, if you can get that on a human, allows you to run a good offense that sustains normally. And then when you're like, cool, I need to go tanky, you cast Righteous Aggressor, make an attack, and boom, you just converted 20% of your offense to defense. That is a nice thing to be able to do. The difficulty will be if you can protect yourself as you grow that.
I think Smiles touched on this, and I'm just talking to the community and for David, for you to think about right now, David. Any human that is constantly using this as a form of gaining science is going to starve themselves very quickly, because they are going to push themselves out of all the KDs that they want to learn. So what I'm saying is it's not a big deal if you kept it out of war as much as you think it is. The ones that choose to use it, that's up to them.
Yeah, I do.
Either
I do also like human warriors. You stack some barracks on there because you're slow. You got those racks, mercs comboing with income. You start maxing that out every wave. Yeah, I like what Perzane's saying.
Well, I think we move on now. But yeah, it is war only. As far as I'm aware, unless David changes his mind. There is a slightly new penalty on there now. Farms produce 40% less food. Humans are hungry. So that will also hit them from a penalty perspective.
They're not hungry. They're just really bad at farming.
That's true. That's another way to think about it.
And human all of a sudden is not looking so great.
Yeah, the main change was war
only.
only.
Be 4.8 net worth. Just,
That is actually intentional. That net worth change.
Weird.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, unless there was any more questions on human, I think we'll keep going. Can't see anything, so we'll keep going.
I don't have a question, but I really hope that this is recording.
So Orc, the only change from revised to final is I dropped the BE to 15 to 10 because everybody was crying that I fucking killed Orc.
David, what the heck are you doing to me with the O-Spec net worth? Sorry.
Oh, I might actually play Orc again next stage. Thanks, Benji.
Yep.
10% is better than 15%. So
So
I
that's
think
not that bad. 10 BA.
And
think
to be
people are
honest,
a
it doesn't
little
even
sick
really
of
matter
rogues,
because
so
like
even if they're good, you won't see them overpicked anyways.
I just don't think we'll see 400 of them this time round.
yeah, because even right now, like in World of Legends, I think my orc was before it ended, I was up to about 150 BE, like in Ceasefire, and then 126, like almost fully drafted. Obviously, in Genesis, it's a little bit more ridiculous. I think it was up to like 187 or 200 BE in Genesis on an orc is pretty ridiculous.
Well, Orc goes strong.
Benji, keep the same net worth for Auspex.
I think that was just a typo.
Then yes.
Yeah.
No, for the human. Instead of being 5 net worth, that should be 4.8. Yes.
All right. On to Undead. Still got the losses. Still got his plague. Still got his known recruit requirement. Still got the successful converts. Plague is still there. I think we've moved it back up to its original 15 BE. But everybody was saying to me that Undead was unplayable. I've reduced the penalties down 10%.
Rotting plague can also be cured with hospitals, not only Nature's Blessing.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, get that wording
And-
in there. You're gonna scare some people.
Yes. And the one notable thing that Undead is going to have is the ability to soldier bounce people now.
Correct. They're the only race that can do it.
So just be aware for people. And yes, still an 8-point D spec.
It is still an 8D spec. That is correct.
Those soldiers having defensive value, you could just sit on a bunch of soldiers, and that's pretty freaking sweet.
And can you actually type out science effectiveness versus SE? Sorry.
Oh, that's Phil. Basically, Undead is a soldier bomb. It's just a complete soldier generator. And how you use those soldiers will define you from other people.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all think of a few different ways to effectively use soldiers.
Yep, and soldiers actually get pushed to 1.5 net worth. Sorry.
Oh my god, you guys are killing me. Yep.
Oh, good thing you haven't
Why
posted
I
it more.
constantly edit on the forums, people.
Yep.
Because there are certain things that are hard coded in, and there are things that we don't think about when we make the changes that are hard coded. Yes.
So, what's people's thoughts on Undead?
Yes, the
Less
issue with the
QQ,
8-point
more
undead
PQ.
spec, though.
What'd you say, Smiles?
Less QQ, more pew pew.
Yeah. Less QQ, more pew pew. I don't have time for the QQ.
Well, don't just go to Muga chat right now. There's plenty of QQ going on.
Dryad, no changes. Literally exactly the same.
Dryad.
What were your thoughts on
big.
Dryad?
Shouldn't they be 4.4 net worth on an O spec?
Oh, you
Yep.
did that on purpose. I know you did that on purpose, Marv.
Otherwise, Dryad seems fucking sweet. I mean, they're
Yeah, it's
a
been
little
interesting. I've
limited
had
in
some
what they
people
have
say to
going
me that
on,
they
but
feel like Dryad is shit. I don't know what you're cooking, guys.
they're pretty fucking sweet.
Well, somebody mentioned something was off or possibly off with the offense on the Dryad this age. I think it was Tarpon Hunter, and Hidden was saying that their Dryads weren't having as much offense as they were expecting. I don't know if they
that
figured
wasn't
that out.
Filtram. The math actually showed everything was right. It just, for some reason, they could not pull the numbers of people with comparable offense. It seemed really weird.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's strange.
And okay, they're asking for clarification for undead. The rune cost does not apply to rituals, right?
It does not apply to rituals.
Does not apply. Add that in there. It shouldn't ever normally apply. And no, that's fine. That's why we're reading the chat and clarifying. It's also why when we post on the forum, sometimes there's a lot of errors.
Keep in mind that there's very little time to actually get these changes sorted out and agreed upon, let alone do any proofreading.
I know. People.
So, yes,
But yeah,
I personally don't see Dryad being strong, but that's just how I normally play. The attack time to me is just a little too much of a hit, but because I wouldn't mind a longer attack time personally if you had bigger gains, but I'm not sure the offense is enough to, in most cases, give you that many more gains unless you're multi-tapping. But decent kingdom should still be mostly multi-tapping with even an orc or an undead anyway. So
If you're not, you're doing something wrong.
I think Starcop has called it. I would predict the same also.
What did Starcop say?
Dryad
Predicting Dryad to be the most picked.
Oh, there he is.
gives you the base attack times. So
The numbers you
Yes.
get are insane.
I think you got to also remember, and really Smiles is the only one that I've seen actually point this out in his video. Even my own kingdom still hasn't come to terms with this. The amount of utility you are going to get in an end of war ceasefire with Dryad is a lot bigger than what you realize. So, you are going to be a good pumper.
Well, and out of
Pump
war,
it
it's
up,
hard
yeah.
to rob through clear sight, so you can actually sit on some decent gold with Dryads, decent PPA with Dryads, sitting on high BE, watchtowers, and clear sight. And if you got a war in 12 hours, you can draft for like 3 ticks and suddenly you have +2 D-specs per acre trained. Like, Dryads, it's not just the offense, it's pretty tricky.
Yeah. But yeah, I guess as I was saying to anybody who's watching this now, don't sleep on Dryad, because it is good. All right, personalities. I'll keep on moving. Artisan, no changes.
again, from revised, slight nerf from last
revised,
page.
yeah. Cleric, no changes from revised. Heretic, there are changes. It lost its damage on the unique, and it lost Mage Fury. Everything else on Heretic is the same. I'll let people absorb that, and Persian or Smiles comment on it.
Let's see. Jet said it's still going to be an orc age, he thinks. But to be honest, it seems like this past age was maybe an avian age. Turtles kicked butt.
Orcs were incredibly overpowered age 110.
Yeah. Yeah, it
Where
was.
the gains were insane. I think I took 3,000 acres in the last hour of the server running. Just on 2 hits.
Heretics
Yeah.
Thank you to
are
512.
interesting. As I said in revised rant, if you can sort of slot out, almost permanent generals coming out of Heretic, because you just have to hit one chain, every 5 hours. You got 4 gens. You could even run 5% racks and maintain +1 mana, +1 stealth permanently with plus spell damage plus op damage. You could have a pretty damn high DPS Heretic.
Yeah, what you're going to amount to is anyone who wars that typical 4 to 5 day war versus the 2-day war. This just incredibly rewards getting someone to near zero defense and then just every 5 hours sending out 200 leets and massing the shit out of them because hey, they're low defense, and I just keep my stealth and mana being recharged every 5 hours. That one guy that gets 0 defense is going to be crushed every war for that case, and that's going to really suck. But that also is going to very much encourage. It's right now it is listed as all attacks, not just traditional marches. But yeah, getting masked, every 5 hours by every enemy heretic, that is going to hurt, and your kingdom is going to want to feed you as much defense as possible. But that guy is going to get screwed probably in most cases, and you're just going to lose one attacker in any war that goes beyond 48 hours. Good luck to that guy. He's going to cry. It might actually be beneficial just to get PK'd at that point.
You know what? Restarting a province isn't actually as bad as people think it is.
So,
Well, I'll take a card out of Smiles. Pew pew. So I'll move on to next one. Yeah.
Undead, they're going to be plaguing themselves.
That's true.
And like getting plagued regularly as a heretic isn't fun.
Person's comment.
Just let me die.
Mystic. I just improved the wording because I know a few people were getting pissed off with me on this one. So your deep command over magic significantly enhances your specific spells. Here's the enhancements.
Yes.
Full chastity, and the duration on magic ward is doubled.
Yeah, and just to be clear, only Mystic has magic ward and chastity. So it's not like they're magically doing this better than anyone. They're the only one doing it, and the spells are stronger. It's the easiest way to think of it.
And yes, I've heard you say before, Smiles, why am I calling it a unique when they're the only ones who've got it? But anyway, this is what it is. Yep.
Cheesy for You says, Plague is an easy fix with hospitals and Nature's Blessing. Not worth the trade-off of being so weak.
But yeah, Mystic is definitely strong next age. Very strong. You shouldn't be thinking that it isn't. It's definitely going to be a strong personality next age. I will go to Rogue. No changes to Rogue. Rogue strong. There's no need for it to have any tweaks. It's in a good place as far as I can tell, especially this age of seeing how strong Rogue is.
Oh man, Rogue's awesome. Everyone was saying make Halford great again, and they did it. They did it.
Well, Elf and Mystic could be interesting next age. I'll be curious to see who comes out as top, Rogue or Mystics.
So that's the next question before when we finish the personalities is going to be what are your top choices for each race?
Oh, okay. Well, we'll keep going. Look, you're all going to hate this one because this one has changed. And David will not let Recon sweep into the game. So it is gone. Or as David has said to me, he doesn't want WPA checks as an op. So you're welcome. There you go.
You're welcome.
So it's once activated, it's massacres do the extra mini raise as well. That's what we're back to.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
You got your old one back.
Reflect Magic's still pretty fucking good.
Yeah.
You lose some credits, but tick 1 of war, you're technically stronger than you used to be.
So you lost your credits if anyone hadn't seen it, because that wasn't revised. Credits are gone.
Martin Hunter says, why are we buffing Tactician? Not enough of them this age? There were a lot, gotta say. A lot of Tactician.
Tactician technically took a small hit, but just Not
Yeah, it has actually technically taken a small hit, guys.
yeah,
Starcup saying with RM, buffing is buffing the strongest thing. RM, bud.
Warrior
Strong, man.
Yeah.
is pretty much exactly the same. The only thing is that the casualties have gone up a bit more. I think I put it up 10%.
Pew, pew.
Yes, pew pew.
Pew pew.
So
So, is it going to be possible this age to run like a pure TM, or are we looking at a bunch of hybrids again? Because everything's breakable still.
Pure TM is always correct.
you can run pure TM, yeah.
Eventually.
Eventually.
The more you can farm, the more hybrids farm faster than pures. And so if you can navigate the sea of new 25-man kingdoms, you'll almost always want the opportunity to gain some extra honor with offense. But end of the day, you end up pure TM if you're, actually doing shit.
Right. No, absolutely. So it's kind of moved from like, to become a pure TM, you need to be a hybrid first and transition. I mean, it kind of always was that year 0 and 1. But, if you had really good ceasefires, maybe back-to-back wars, and you're in year 3, you could potentially be a pure TM by that time, depending on how many acres you take in.
It's like a combination luck and the kind of wars you can get thing. But if you're coasting as a hybrid, you'll always end up further ahead than if you were pure. But there's a lot less risk involved if you're just running early pure. For the most part, you just don't get broken for many wars in a row.
Right. Makes sense. That's one thing I definitely missed for most of this age was having any spells. Man, it's brutal playing all core. That's only really good for Night Strike. But the Orc offense was pretty nice. You could do both.
I think that's timely, what you were saying, Wind. Raider will give you a lot more if you want to play a core that does a little bit more than that, just attacking. And the only addition to Raider from Revised to Final is they've been given access to Steel Warhorses.
And tools science efficiency.
Oh, I thought we had that in Revised.
I don't believe so.
I thought that was in proposed.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I'll have to double check.
Maybe it
but,
didn't make it to Revised and it came back.
It probably just didn't make it, but it did say, yeah.
Revised and re-added from proposed.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So it did get added. Yeah, so on Raider, you get 4 1-tick. Your successful attack gives them a 4-tick debuff to their watchtowers.
Correct.
It doesn't stack, it just keeps adding. Like, every 4 hours, if you do it the next hour, it's 4 hours, not like 8 hours, right?
Correct. It does not stack. I don't know how many times people keep asking me, does it stack? It doesn't stack.
Yeah. The more people, there's a lot of people on this cast right now. So the more people know that it doesn't stack, Benji, the more we tell them, the more they can tell everybody else, and then nobody will ask that question anymore.
Yeah, what you're effectively
But
doing.
maybe literally you need to put in brackets, like in the changes, like does not stack, for instance.
Yeah. What Raider's doing, though, is effectively trading a permanent 15% offense for 10% offense in war and some thievery capability. It's a decent trade, too, if you were considering warrior, but you want to go a thievery-focused kingdom.
Yeah, I think that the offense just goes a really long way here. So,
I reckon we're going to see a lot of Raiders. I actually predict we're going to see a lot of Raiders. I think people are going to get excited by it, and we're going to see quite a few.
I think it's going to be like Age 109's Heretics. everyone's scared of them, but then, somebody just farms a kingdom of raiders by laughing at their TPA and, hitting them hard.
I didn't say whether they would know how to use them. I said that we'll have a lot of people pick them. And then last one, Sage. Literally, the only change from Sage from Revised to Finals is they got access to Revelation.
Yes.
So this is just to make Sage more accessible for non-humans.
Diversity for everyone, Smiles.
Yeah. I love the Sage because I hate micro Sages, and this Sage is peak performance in war. It's this Sage is a war hero. I love it. I could see a very similar type of war hero with that sort of fading in power in war. So the fact that this can't really menace the server out of war is a huge plus for me.
And what are you thinking are going to be top picks, Smiles and Persian?
You first, Smiles.
So I have a little bit of a rule, which is if you don't know what to do, there's a few obvious answers. You pick Mystics with the most WPA, so you pick Elf Mystics. You pick Rogues with the most TPA, so you pick Halfling Rogues. And you pick whatever the biggest offense is, so you pick Dryad Warrior.
Those are all sound things. I am anticipating a lot of undeads because undead is always fun. Easiest coupling with undead is going to either be cleric or probably the tactician, just because everybody likes going fast. And the reflect magic allows you to have some extra boost, so I'm expecting a lot of that. I would also expect Orc still to be picked a lot myself. The gains tends to make up for the offense hit. I don't think the difference between 17 and 15 is enough to get you an extra hit. And 25% battle gains if you're quadding is a full extra hit. I don't see orcs going from 2 hits to 3 hits by going from orc to dryad, even if you're a dryad warrior. So I would still expect a lot of orc taxed. Then I would agree though on the elf and halfling. I do see probably a couple of fairy rogues going in there, just because you finally have the defense and with your elite there, and since your magic is being buffed innately, then your thievery can be buffed via your personality. That's always a nice combo. I personally would love to see a whole bunch of human warriors, though, because I think the spec offense is really strong when you have the warrior offensive military efficiency, and I love the concept of having a big offense till I decide I need a defense, then a righteous aggressor attack, and boom, I just turned 8 offensive specs per acre that by day 2 of war into 2 extra EPA. I think that's a really nice little bonus. If you can have dealt with the enemy mystics, you are now a quick, safe, tanky attacker, but that'll be probably utterly failure in most kingdoms except for the 1 or 2 kingdoms that perfectly run that. Just kind of my thoughts.
We're going to invite Tarpon Hunter to speak here for a second. I think he's trying to talk. He wants to ask a question about the meter. Where is he? Wow, there's a lot of people on this chat right now.
Fair enough.
There he is. All right, I'm inviting you to speak, Turpin Hunter. You just need to accept or whatever. I think you posted a thing you want to speak. Maybe it's easier that way.
I didn't
There we go.
find this talk. Yeah, I think the changes are mostly positive. I think the clarification on the meter stuff, I certainly misunderstood how buttons going away when you enter war was going to work. So that's nice to know. Also, just appreciate the changes you guys made throughout. Like, I think you're headed in the right direction on most of it. It feels more balanced than the original stuff. The stuff that I still don't understand or would suggest would be, I think, the avian unique ability. I still think 0 casualties on that is a little much. 50% or normal casualties, something there, but I understand that ship is sailed. I'll just mention it every age until it gets considered. And I still struggling with the aggressive hostility meter reduction. I just fail to see how that's not going to lead to more like hate play in buttons and eventually a reduction in wars. I think people understand and abuse that in a way that just leads to like, oh, I gave you a button after hitting you 18 times, waiting for my eyes to return, and look, I hit you again. Like, I fail to see how that dynamic is going to improve or increase wars for the middle and majority of kingdoms. Like, the 80% rule on kingdoms there is just going to be brutal, in my opinion. I think we'll do fine with it. We'll abuse the fuck out of it. I'm okay. But I just think it's going to be a problem for a lot of the population.
Awesome. So we know how to find you. We'll just look for you. The kingdoms beating up little kingdoms.
We never wave down on that, but like it's if you want to wave up, you now can put a ton of hits in at low risk. Like I don't know. I feel like for kingdoms that are willing to fight up in size, it's fine. Like that's why I'm not worried about it for us. But I think I already see when I look at news from the server, from our guys who do all this stuff, because I can't be fucked. But when they send that to us, like I see the typical wave is like, oh, we're even net worth. I'll give you a full land wave. Now I'm up 10% and have huge incoming. Why won't you press the button? And I think that if you give them the ability to do that twice before the button, I think you're just going to see more and more what they would, I think that from the perspective of these less competitive kingdoms, you're going to see them do, well, I gave an equal button. Why isn't somebody taking it? But really they hit, now instead of having to do, 10 hits, they're doing 18 and then doing a further full wave. They're doing into the TMs or into the TMs to give no relations and then a full wave. And so it's just, I think you're going to see a dramatic change in.
So I get that. My counter is, and this is how I plan to do it, is if you do that to me, then keep waving me as hard as you want. Fuck you. I'm not going to ceasefire you. And I'm just going to sit and wait till you go into war. And then I'm going to outgrow you. And when you leave end of war ceasefire, I'm going to declare on you and utterly crush you and have been at 100 and, was it? Net worth range is 125%. So I'm going to be at 124% your size. And you are going to get ground into dust after you leave your next war. And so if you're going to do that to me, I'm going to do that back, and you're going to massively regret it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I think the kingdoms that are playing competitively have no issues with this. Like, it's not a problem for us.
I don't think that's even competitive. I think there are even the kingdoms that often lose most wars are much more coordinated to those kind of things than I think you think. Now, their ability to execute when they're not, competitive is a lot worse. I can see at least one kingdom that I'm thinking of that I don't want to name because I don't want to be a jerk, like trying to do this and then losing and just feeding someone massive amounts of acres. But I think most kingdoms can still do that.
Seeker.
So,
You can just say it.
well, I'm in War Seekers, so just pointing that out there.
I think
I know where you play. I
I was
guess.
just gonna say.
Sorry. I was just going to say I understand what you're saying. My counterpoint is I don't see the upside to it to add in the risk that these kingdoms are performing closer to my expectations.
I think the intent here, just so I can go, I mean, I'll talk you through the intent, Tarp, and this is just honestly where my view is on this. It's to basically see how it runs out this age. And we might be getting towards the end of the age, and you might be right, Tarp, and it might have been really horrible. Horrible idea. Me messaging Smiles going, why the fuck did I do this? But this is a door that we can open and shut. And that's why we're testing it out to see how it goes. You can't test something like this in Genesis, unfortunately. It just wouldn't be a good way of testing.
This is how Genesis currently works, and there have been multiple wars where you wait till someone comes out of End of War ceasefire and then declare on them instantly and just utterly crush them. That is exactly how Genesis works right now.
You're telling them the secret version. Don't tell them that. We get 10 wars every Genesis age. It's insane. I can't even keep up with the wars. It's insane.
Yep. And that's what we did to you this last age, Wind. We crushed you into the ground. So,
is that what happened? I don't even know. What kingdom were you again?
We were the Boats Kingdom.
Oh, you're the Boats Kingdom. Oh, yeah. You guys are good. Yeah, that was fun. Let me just tell you a little bit about Arca's strategy. It mostly involves losing wars to get books. And then we win a few wars here and there, and we end up, taking a war crown off this ridiculous war point system that we have.
Either way, just making that clear for everyone. It sucks to lose a war and get crushed, but it also means start doing diplomacy again. And having diplomacy in there isn't a bad thing, especially if we're just trying for an age. If it doesn't absolutely crush people, it's not bad to do it.
Yeah, I mean, I do think, I think I understand better what you're getting at with it. I guess I have a very low expectation based on our interaction with Kingdom of how this is going to go. I think it benefits kingdoms like Hidden have this type of thing. Like somebody jumps coming out of a CS, I'm all about it. But I look at the news reports from kingdoms that are giving buttons now, and I'm very pessimistic about that change. I do appreciate the nuance around the meter reset stuff, though. That was, I don't know if it was a text thing or the question wasn't clear when we were talking about it like a week ago, but I'm less concerned about that than I was when I thought it didn't reset at all. But I think it's still it'll be an interesting new wrinkle for people to figure out.
Someone
I think it'll lead to some very
guide
upset players
on how to best counteract. My opponent is in End of War ceasefire and growing, and they're going to bet on me. How do I respond to this? And, if you write out a guide of, hey, go peaceful, get a good eco rid up, run 10 PPA and get Dragon Gold, grow to match them, or grow to outpace them, plunder their End of War ceasefire, or raise someone, force them to have defense, because if they have button on you anyways, and they're going to quote abuse the situation, you can just waive their End of War ceasefire. Fuck them. I'm not against that. So if someone makes an easily accessible, hey, this is how you can exist in this situation that you think is unexistable, People can follow that, and they'll build a counter that sort of play.
Yep. Just means there's more things you have to think about.
Like, the game does need more accessible guides to, like,
Yeah, no,
hey, this is how you do stuff
On
in
a-
downtime. This is how you manage buttons or hostiles. Like, that sort of stuff in a lot of games would be pretty available.
I'd rather have
We didn't hear a word of that.
Yeah, I don't know. Whoever that is
that's
It's
awesome. More potential targets too for aggressive kingdoms. So if you want to back
Yeah, Win, do
the
you got
back
some
wall.
sort of noise gate or something? Because you're just 90% cutting out.
One thing that we haven't talked about that I just saw mentioned at a different time was punishment for intra-kingdom raising as if some game mechanics. Can we get a definitive answer on that when changes are posted? Like, is that going to be an issue? People
You
do
mean,
that?
like, are you going to get in trouble for inter-raising as far as actioned?
Yeah, I saw a couple different people say that was being considered. I think Benji and David, or maybe Benji said David was considering it or something. Just, it's not part of the changes, but it would be a change in how.
Like intentionally somebody doing inter-raises in a way that's not in the intention of what David is saying? Is that what you're basically saying?
I guess, yes, I think there's two scenarios that I think of when I think of inter-raising. One is killing player, right? Like somebody's in your kingdom that you don't want there. And the other is I just finished a war, or I'm trying to micro. I'm just going to, tell my honor, bit about you, and raise somebody. And this is, again, because they're the easiest example. But ghetto vets are used with landlust and then raise and everything. And I can think of uses
Miles.
of it now. Yeah, I mean, lots of people do it. Like I said, they're just the first example that come to mind. Lots of people do that in different scenarios. Like, and right now, if I'm in a ceasefire and like I just won a war, but I have, 3 people that can push a button against me, do I want to quick raise to get small enough that they can't declare on? And to me, that's a legitimate strategy.
Yeah, I would think that's a legit strategy. It also then becomes two kingdoms intra-raising to see who can declare.
Yeah, but it's much more painful to raise, sitting in the
So,
open.
to be
When you're
fair,
fresh in a ceasefire, you can raise and have no desertions because you just gained a ton of land. Like, I just want to make sure you need it either way. But it's been implied several different times in the changes thing that that's now against the rules or might be against the rules. And I just think we need a definitive answer on it. That's all. I don't need it now, but
Look, I'm personally okay with the situation that you just outlined to me. I would see that as a legitimate strategy. But David, if you didn't hear that, so if they inter-raised into their own kingdom to potentially get into a war because they had range issues, unless I got that wrong, Tarpon, are we going to action something like that? Or are we going to see that as a legitimate strategy, David?
That's always how you do it.
He's typing.
Listen, intra-raise isn't nearly as bad as just delayed training and shit like that. So, like, whatever, man.
Yeah, I'm not saying that's the best thing to do. I'm not saying I want to do it. It seemed like a strange thing to bring up as like a threat. Like, don't intra-raise or you're going to get deleted. And I've seen tons of people intra-raising for lots of reasons other than killing it. And it's never been actioned. And I love that. I think it's part of the game, but it's just been implied. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever been not allowed. I think it's super lame, and I make fun of people that do it, but I understand why they do it, and it's always been okay as far as I'm aware.
David is still replying. I can see the stars directly ask the question in chat. There are mechanical devices that are put in place to deter that behavior, but it's not prohibited, Tarpon.
Perfect. That's I just wanted an answer either way. I appreciate it. Thank you.
I like interfaces.
Right, I have to dash, unfortunately, Wind.
Yeah, no, that's all right. I think I'm near an actual cell tower now, so I have pretty good reception. Awesome. Well, thanks for that, Benji. You did a great job. Like I said, hopefully all of that actually recorded, because we did have to close the cast down, and I was logged in from 2 different devices, so it might have kicked me out on my PC. In which case, everyone here was here for a live show that's not been recorded. But actually, you know what? Their sound was probably recorded, so there is that. If the video was not recorded, you can always magic that up a little bit and actually post something people can still watch and listen to. But yeah, I'm pretty sure the audio should still be recorded no matter what, so it should be good there. Anyway, like I was saying when I was dropping out of service the last time, it would be awesome if someone would like to write some updated guides to help kingdoms that we could like put on the wiki and stuff like that. Because a lot of the stuff that we have is pretty old.
And it's just a lot of work, but I hear ya. What you need is someone just constantly posting little snippets or videos, but you know, again, that's work. It's hard to maintain.
Yeah, tell me about it. If you notice on the wiki page, it says year 4. That was the last time that I updated it this past age, because I've been so busy with everything else. Yeah, it should get the wiki updated pretty quick anyway. That should be a problem. The changes are always pretty easy to copy and paste. But yeah, anyway, thanks for joining us, everybody. Benji's gone now. I guess, Tarpon, unless you have any other questions for Persian Cat or Smiles.
I mean,
or if anyone else in the audience does.
I guess maybe with Benji gone, this is maybe more discussion for later, but I still think, and a bunch of us have brought this up, but I still think like a mutual war with phased in war benefits could be a really nice addition. I think the concerns about mutual war are all around server performance, which mutually agreed war. And as such, I think phased in war benefits decreases the advantage of first enter, and so you wouldn't have those server problems as dramatically. So I think that'd be something I'd like to, if not this age, obviously, but for future ages, I think it's really beneficial. And the other thing is, when are we going to get a version of this that we can actually look at? I know Benji's probably the one that's supposed to, but is that coming or like after he wakes up tomorrow?
Well, it is only 9 o'clock or something, I think, where he is. So I don't think he's necessarily going to sleep. But I think the finals were supposed to be posted today at some point on the forums, if the forums are even accessible. Just keep refreshing that, and you'll eventually get it.
Right. And so, yeah, so during my day today, that's was just curious, and also wanted something for people start posting the soon meme.
Yeah, you know what? Soon is really, really relative because, like, you know, for Benji, it's like it's like, you know, Saturday night, right? But for us, it's like Saturday morning, right? So it's like, yeah, it'll be this day. Sometimes people forget what time zone they're in, even. Like, yeah, it'll be Sunday, but it's actually like Saturday night or something. Yeah, I guess that answers those questions. But yeah, like I said, if anyone wants to write any articles or any guides on how to help kingdoms, feel free to just like forward it to me, and I'll give you credit and put it on the wiki and stuff like that. And hopefully, I can get some help with people like to write the guide and other stuff like that. So definitely, if you're interested in stuff like that, reach out to me, and I'll figure out a way with David to make it happen. I think Smurge has like already been talked to, like we were already talking to him about helping with the guide. So if we can get those two, the wiki and the guide, like lined up and have the information coincide properly and make sense when you look at one or the other, then you know, that'll be a lot more informative for players and newer kingdoms. Like I said, especially if we can get some articles on how to deal with buttons and like little tips and tricks and stuff. Like if you guys really want competition, you need to start teaching all the brand new players like all the tricks that took years of practice and training to learn, basically just playing the game. Then like once everybody knows all those secrets, you know, war should be crazy in Utopia. It'll be really sweaty then.
My like idealistic vision for the 25 kingdom thing, which I think is impractical, is kingdoms are hugely incentivized to run 25 with rewards or whatever else, but they're required to have two of those players be players that have never played the game before or who have less than a year's experience in the game. It's hugely impractical because you can't enforce it, but it forces the top kingdoms to mentor and train. But you know, nothing against our current mentors, but current mentor system's kind of a joke. Where it's like, oh, I'll help you, and maybe you can join my kingdom in one day. But I think if you force 25s, forcing training and learning would be really nice. But again, hard to do, right? Like it'd be super easy for me to just make a new email address and be like, oh, I'm a newbie, and we could have used it. So that's my idealistic view for it. I think I totally agree about finding a way to make the game more accessible, because that's the way to growth. Is you need a way for somebody to just drop in and not need to spend 6 weeks being like, why is this happening? Where does this page? Like it's just a very Byzantine entry point for new players. I couldn't imagine joining without having very tolerant friends helping me get up to speed.
Because Utopia is not an easy game to play for anybody that starts, unless you're like into math or you're a teacher or something like that. You'll probably be a natural, or any type of like academic person, be a natural at this game. But for the average person, that it's hard for them to grasp this type of game still. So like we have to figure out a way how to get those average players into the game, because in reality Utopia is like one of the best, it can be one of the best inactive games ever. Like really, David even said it himself, you only need to log in like 2 to 6 times a day and you'll be better than some of like the actual good kingdoms, because those players are so efficient, unless they're going for activity bonuses, which is just sweaty play, making sure you log in every hour. Like it's easy to forget time, but and you have to sleep, right? So who's going to log into your province for those hours that you're sleeping? So you're never really getting a full activity bonus if you're sleeping properly and stuff like that.
I mean,
right? So in reality,
I'm feeling very attacked right now.
What's that?
I'm feeling very attacked for getting activity bonuses. It's not okay. But I think I agree with you that expanding it, I think there's the counter argument to that to me is there's so many nerds in the world, and this is truly a like a spreadsheet game. Like I know there's more to it than that, but like if you just look at the people that love spreadsheets and like looking at data, there's millions of them in the world, and not all of them are going to want to play Utopia. But you don't need to change the dynamic or the complexity of the game. You need to find those people, and that's the challenge, right? Like if you just said like it, and just in my career, right, professionally, I work in data analytics and software architecture, so I ran into a lot of these people who are still using Excel, right? That are using, you know, whether they're technical or not, they're still like, oh, I like Excel, I like Google Sheets. Those people would thrive in this game if they could figure out how to get through the toxic onboard. And I mean toxic both from a game perspective, where there's very little information for them, and also from a community perspective. Like we are not kind to new people as a group, right? Like somebody joins your kingdom and doesn't have Discord installed, and I'm just say I'm running a 20-person kingdom, playing with friends that I've played with for 5 years. A new person joins and's like talking in the little IRC chat because that's the only way they can communicate with somebody. You're gonna kill them. You're just gonna raise them out of the kingdom if you don't have the wall up in the first. Why would I want to deal with getting somebody so that they can talk to me and then explain all of that? And that's like our kingdom is built on players that we found that way, or that we recruited via Discord. But we're a mean bunch to new players. Oh, you don't know how to calculate how much GC to send. There's a button right there. Like, why would I think to press that button? Like, there's just a million things that we do treat people really poorly.
I have a few opinions on this matter. I don't think Utopia is so unique in genre that like there isn't a ton of people that can pretty quickly understand the game type and like adapt to it. Like there are plenty of idle games and phone games, mobile games, games that have very similar styles to Utopia. I think those people can swap over quickly. I also think in terms of roguelike games that people are playing these days, I feel like someone that's playing games like Balatro or Slay the Spire, they can pick up on pretty nuanced shit in a game like Utopia really quickly. The problem with Utopia is it doesn't actually take that long to learn. If you look at a game like Dota, you will play 100 hours of Dota before you get past very basic stages of understanding. You have to learn 110 heroes. You're going to want to play 20, 40 games against bots. None of your friends are going to want to play with you for months. They're going to want to like play co-op with you and bots, but like you're going to have to go through the trenches all on your own to have proper games of Dota. Utopia only takes a long time to learn because things happen slowly. If you sit down and spend 2, 3, 4 hours a day learning Utopia like you would if you were just playing Dota with your whole afternoon, you learn Utopia pretty quick. It's just that the average person's like, oh, there's only 5 minutes of actions I can do a day, and they log off. Like, you need some sort of teaching and dialogue and way to understand and learn the mechanics on your own time. But if you were putting in the same hours to Utopia as you were a MOBA for a couple weeks, you'll easily hit the top 5% of players in like a couple weeks. I've seen it happen. People just show up and they learn quickly, but they're engaged. They're spending hours on Discord talking to people and asking questions. If all your interaction with Utopia is logging in and doing what you're supposed to do when your timers run down, like, you just don't get enough exposure to learn the game. But I think if you can make that understanding and gap a lot easier to manage for new people, just like, listen, it's not a hard game, but it takes X time to learn. So if you're doing that 5 minutes every week, it's gonna take you forever. Because Utopia is not a mystery. Like 1,600 people play it, and like 1,200 people play it pretty fucking well. It's not some magic spell we all know that no one else knows. Like, Utopia is not hard. Also, I think my shit's broken, so maybe this is all fucked up.
Even for Farm War, it was, whatever, 48 hours of work for one dopamine hit, right? I know you run a good wave, you get a good chain, but a new player doesn't get any of that. Even if they're in a good kingdom, they're following orders and just pressing buttons as they're told. And so they're not getting that constant incentive to log back in and check in. It's like, oh, somebody said to attack 5 in this kingdom for land twice. And so I did it. Okay, I'll come back in 12 hours. Like, it's not the complexity, it's the reward system. That's why games like Dota or pick your favorite Apple Store game are so much, even if they have more complexity, have such larger player bases. Anyway, I got to drop off. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk, and remember to like and subscribe.
I had such an epic rant, and no one was replying to me for so long, so I just kept talking and talking. It turns out no one was replying to me because my Discord crashed, and so it was not.
It was going so good, man.
I thought it was.
I thought my service dropped out for a second because it was like one of those moments, like, oh no, he's about to say the most important thing.
I just kept talking and talking.
Oh man, that's too bad. we really missed out, man. That's all I have to say.
Okay, but it's all going to be on my YouTube because only Discord crashed. My OBS picked up everything, so hashtag like and subscribe.
Definitely sent a request to speak there to you there. My bad. I'm logged into Discord right now on my computer and my phone, so it's kind of messed up. But yeah, so unless anybody else has any questions, thank you all for joining us. And the forums, yeah, David says finals should be posted in the forum shortly. So that answers your question, Tarpon, if you're still listening. And anybody else, Starkup, I'm sure you can let him know. Whatever, But yeah, so you can find the final changes in the forums. Thanks to Benji for getting that done so quickly, and Scrasu balancing it, as well as Persian Cat to balancing it. They actually worked pretty hard to do it. Memester also threw his hat in the ring too on this one. So there's a lot of the Age Changes Council working together to make sure that this age is going to work. So that's why there's some changes from proposed to revised to finals. So Smiles, I think you may have crashed again.
So unless anybody else has any other questions, we're just going to end the show now because we've actually gone on over 2 hours. So that's kind of usually where I like to cut it off. So just going to check the voice chat or the text chat one more time. And yeah, Senpai says shout out to Emma as well for his work. Yeah, Emma keeps busy. It's too bad he's asleep right now. I'm sure he'd have plenty to say. So yeah, I don't think Smiles' video is working out right now. So we're just gonna end it here, and we'll likely see another rant from Smiles on the finals. All right, thanks
You're all a
everybody for
bunch of
joining.
nerds.
Have a good day. Thanks, Smiles, for that.
Don't want. Anyways, I recorded most of that. With any luck, the audio's half balanced. I don't think any of the memes I showed should get me banned off YouTube. Fingers crossed. I'll post a real rant later, but this was just recording mostly of the cast, and you know, maybe that was fun for people. Cool. I'm gonna go to bed now. Thanks for listening, guys. Love you all.